Sometimes when relationships end, people say, "We grew apart." And what makes that phrase difficult is how hard it is to explain what actually happened. Because many relationships do not end through betrayal or hatred, or one dramatic moment where everything suddenly falls apart. Life just keeps moving. You still wake up beside each other, still talk about your day, still share routines, still make plans. From the outside, the relationship may still look completely normal. But somewhere underneath all of that, the emotional experience inside the relationship begins changing. Conversations become more functional than personal. You still communicate, but less of yourselves is inside the conversation now. You stop bringing each other into your inner world first. Certain silences stop feeling intimate and start feeling empty. And eventually, you become so familiar with each other that you stop fully seeing each other. That part matters, because emotional closeness is not maintained only through love. It is maintained through attention, through emotional participation, through continuing to see the other person as someone you are still discovering. And familiarity quietly changes attention. Human beings naturally devote less awareness to what feels permanently available. That is part of what makes this kind of distance so confusing. Nobody necessarily intended for it to happen. The relationship itself continues. The routines continue. The loyalty may still exist. The relationship may still matter deeply to both people. But emotional presence begins fading underneath the continuity of everyday life. And often, the shift is subtle enough that people adapt to it while it is happening. Life becomes operational. Stress replaces attentiveness. Exhaustion replaces curiosity. You spend more time managing life together than actually experiencing each other. Conversations become updates instead of discovery. You already think you know how the other person will respond. You stop noticing new parts of each other. And over time, the relationship can begin feeling emotionally flatter without anyone fully understanding why. Sometimes another layer appears underneath this too. One person begins changing internally. Maybe they become more reflective, more emotionally open, more aware of themselves. Or they begin confronting emotional patterns they ignored for years. Meanwhile, the relationship dynamic continues operating in the same emotional rhythms it always had. And eventually, this can create a strange kind of loneliness. Being physically close to someone, while no longer feeling emotionally reached by them. That does not automatically mean one person became deeper or better than the other. And growth itself can become performative sometimes too, but emotional disconnect can still emerge when two people stop evolving in ways that emotionally meet each other anymore. And maybe that is part of what makes "we grew apart" feel heavier than people realize. Because many couples never experience one defining collapse. What they experience is gradual emotional reduction, less curiosity, less emotional discovery, less feeling of being psychologically and emotionally seen, until one day the relationship still exists, but the emotional aliveness inside it feels different than it once did. And that is what makes this kind of distance difficult to talk about. Nothing visibly disappeared. Life continued. The routines continued. The relationship itself continued. But somewhere along the way, you stopped fully experiencing each other the way you once did.